What's up, everybody? This is Devin White, linebacker for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. You're listening to the LCC Network. Go Bucks.
Hey everyone, welcome to Commissioner's Clubhouse and the LCC Network for episode 5 of the LCC offseason. This week marked a pretty special event in our offseason. That was the contract reveals for players and their value, although the value will change once we update the scoring on the website, which we're just now able to published, so I'll be working on that throughout the week. But with me tonight, before we get into any of that, I've got my co-commissioner Jordan here on the podcast with me. What's going on, man?
What is up, everybody? Hope you're enjoying looking over these player values and getting your keepers together
Yeah,
in strategy.
there are there's a lot of interesting scenarios there with keepers, which we'll get into in a little bit. But before we talk any more about that stuff, I just want to remind everyone again: the payment deadline is next. Is it next Friday? No, sorry, the Friday after that, March 4th. So Friday, this Friday, the time most of you are probably listening, you got 2 weeks to pay. So we have 2 people who've paid already: Big Os and Zach. So thank you to both of you guys for paying already. And technically, I guess. Long story short, Cameron's dues were covered this year because I promised him I'd pay, or actually I made a promise to the league. If anyone joined the Retro Bowl League, the RBCDL, I would pay for their league dues for this year. So Cameron did it, and yeah, so I technically owe him. So, anyways, that's a tangent.
Good for him.
Yeah, good for him. He was one and done. So.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we got a pretty cool episode. We got an LCC trivia segment here at the beginning, and then we're going to dive into, I guess, kind of what we're calling our 1 year warning episode, where we're going to kind of dive into players who have 1 year left on their contract. We're not going to put much value into the keeper value, if that makes sense, of these players, because this is going to adjust here in the next couple days or week or so. So all that's going to get shifted, but the contracts themselves are 100% accurate.
This will kind of just show you where you want to start positioning yourself for 2023 free agency, which will be our first round of free agency since coming together as a 24 team league.
Yeah.
Like full free agency.
Yeah, this will be it'll be pretty interesting to see how. Oops, sorry, I didn't mean to play that. To see how this works, with because last year we technically, I guess we did have keepers last year, yeah, right? Yeah. Because the year before we had COVID, and that's why we didn't do the draft. 2020 is so weird in my head because it just throws everything off.
Yeah, I think it messes with everybody.
Yeah.
We were locked indoors.
It was a time to be alive. Or not for some people, I guess. But let's dive into it. Let's do our trivia first. Since I already did that sound drop, we're going to play that in the background during the trivia. All right, Jordan. Welcome to LCC Trivia.
I thought you were playing yourself off at the Oscars. Wrap it up, box.
So our first question here. What was Will Watson's first team name when he joined the LCC back in 2016?
Oh, man. I forget. Definitely forget. Will Watson. Will say. I don't think it was. I think it was another one of the people that went to Spartanburg, but I'm just gonna throw a guess out there and say we back.
Close. That was Big Osses. So
Okay.
Will for a second, his team name was Will, and then he changed it to Tang Bang, and that was his team name in 2016.
Yeah. Tang bang. All right.
Yeah,
Well, I think it's a shame that he doesn't roll with like something to do with Goodwill Hunting.
yeah, I know, right? I Will's always had like interesting team names. He's only had, I guess three if you include Will as his team name for like a week or something. But yeah,
Solid name.
solid name, respectable. All right, next question: who has the most losses in league history?
I'm gonna just go out on a limb and say Storm.
Storm. Oh, that was a good guess. For those that don't know, that was the Vegetarians, who was in the league for a long, long time. But he was close. This person actually broke the record this year, and that's Matt Leg, the Crazy Legs, or I guess now, sorry, Jiu Jitsu Jesus. He has
Yes.
76 career losses.
I should have guessed that if it happened this season, but oh well.
Yeah, that's a good bit. I mean, if you combined Abusement Park and Detroit Bad Boys career losses, it still wouldn't equal to Matt's.
Interesting.
Interesting.
That's a lot of losses.
That's a lot of losses. Uh, so who
You're
has the
bad. No, he's got a two title.
uh, all right, next question. Who has the highest winning percentage in league history? So
Total or regular season or
total. And try not to think like people currently in the league and people have been in the league 10 plus years.
Jade.
No. Jade actually, I think, is relatively lower on the list, believe it or not. You ready to
Yeah,
be
that is surprising.
semi shocked?
Yeah,
Uh,
give it to me.
Maria, a wife, for those that don't know, had the highest winning
Ooh,
percentage of 68%. Will
68%.
is tied for second place.
Well,
So,
second place doesn't matter.
so
First
you're, if
place.
you ain't
So,
first, you're last. Um,
congratulations to old Princess Meche.
yep, that's right. 24-11 was your career record. So pretty good. And Hunter actually had this down for the longest time, but he had a rough season 2 years ago, and that really destroyed his winning percentage.
You might be able to tell her that winning percentage and bring her on back.
Yeah. All right. Next question. What tight end had the best single game in league history between 2014 to 2021?
So that includes this past season.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
I'll say Gronk at some point.
Um, that's a good guess, actually. And you wouldn't be entirely too far off there, but this person just went off. I mean, was an animal in this game. It was Zach Ertz, who in week 10, 2018, for Buck Your Mother and Michael, had 63 points. 63 from a tight end. Gronk
Dang,
is second with 49. If that puts that
so close.
any perspective, and then Zach Ertz also is tied for tied for third. Sorry, with 45. So that blew my mind when I saw 63. I forgot all about that. I mean that was a hell of a
Yeah,
game.
that's a game from like anybody, but a tight end is just crazy.
Yes. All right. So same question for kickers. Um, which we
We
haven't
don't
used
do
kickers.
kickers in the
We
LCC.
haven't used kickers in the LCC in a very long time, so I thought this would be an interesting question. And if you're listening and you're not in the league or you weren't in the league for this era, don't worry. Just think like great kickers over the past decade or so who may have had a good game. I'll give you a hint. They played in an indoor stadium for their team.
Okay. Let's see. So highest scoring kicker.
This guy had a very long career in the NFL. And I'm talking about between 2014 through 2016 is when they did this.
Vinatieri.
Nope. It was Matt Bryant for the Falcons, Week 1, 2014, for It's All About the Benjamin at the time, Jameson. He had 26 points in that game.
Did he do that against the Panthers?
Probably, honestly.
I want to say he did.
Yep. Justin Tucker, second place. Adam Vinatieri, third.
Okay.
That's funny.
Well, the obsolete position now.
Yep, it is. It's kind of like fullbacks in the NFL, I guess. So let's move on to the big ticket item here that I think most people are probably more interested in anyways, which is our 1 year warning segment. And everyone in the league has access to the spreadsheet at this point, so this isn't news really to anyone. But it's possible most people haven't had time to look that in depth at their own team or other teams this early on in the offseason, and that's okay. That's what we're here for right now, is to tell you guys who are on the last year of their contract. Of course, they could be franchise tagged, but that team would have to forfeit all of their other keeper selections in the process of doing so. So the likelihood of that happening is probably pretty low unless the team is truly rebuilding and they only have like one person worth keeping. Then there's a good chance they'll probably use that franchise tag option on the player. And Jordan, just because I'm looking at it right now and it's my own team, one of the guys, and they may be irrelevant after what happened to them just like 2 weeks ago, but Alvin Kamara is in the last year of his contract. Of course, the likelihood of me keeping him is pretty slim. Unless something crazy happened where he was acquitted of all charges and, dude didn't get suspended. That's not going to happen, but yeah.
Yeah. I mean, obviously you got to let the legal stuff play out, but like just as a player, like that's a premium player at a premium position.
Yeah.
We're going to obviously be combing through these, and running backs are going to be the most like coveted like positions with quarterback. So pending legal issues, definitely a heavy hitter coming out.
Yeah. Now, Jordan, you've got 4 players who are in the last year of their contract, which is really interesting. I'm interested to see how you build your team this offseason. Because they're basically 1 year rentals at this point.
Yeah, I wasn't too concerned when I built the roster last year, just trying to get as good as I could for last year. But I'll have to make some choices. But yeah, on my team, I have Justin Herbert with 1 year left, Antoine Winfield, Jamal Adams, and Nick Chubb, which I just was talking about premium positions. That's Nick Chubb and Justin Herbert at premium positions. And I'm probably not going to keep one of them. Matter of fact, I would have to make something shake to be able to keep Herbert because of not having the first round pick.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, if anyone wants to get in my Discord DMs and start talking trade.
I'll get in your Discord DMs.
Yeah, I could do it. But yeah, that's 4 quality players and 2 really high-end players that are going to be available for my roster next season.
Yeah. Yeah. And like you said, we're not going to get too in-depth.
And possibly a championship rental piece for somebody coming up.
Yeah. Like I said, we're not going to dive too in depth of like where guys are positioned to keep, because like I said, this is going to change here in the next couple of days when we update the scoring system.
That can be a whole nother episode as well once people decide on their keepers.
Yeah, exactly. Like Deontay Johnson's in your team. Jordan is an 8th round keeper at this point. He's gonna shoot up. I
Yeah,
don't know how far, but he's definitely gonna shoot up a little bit.
yeah. And I was looking forward to possibly keeping him with that eighth, but
Yep.
probably move on if he shoots up too far.
I guess I'll go and share my screen with everyone real quick.
Yeah,
That way people can see. All right. So here we go. We're looking at Eastside Brawlers now, and Eastside. I mean, let's be honest. There's the guys he's got 1 years left. I mean, most of them, or some of them he's not keeping. Like Miles Sanders, he's done. Matt Ryan, he's done, especially not for a first round pick. Um,
yeah.
but you know, like
This is
Jabril
only
Peppers is a guy who's coming up. Like he's still young enough to where he's going to be good 2 years out, and when he does hit the free agency and like after this year, that's going to be a big name. He may go in the first round or two.
yeah. But what I like about it's not always good, but at least he's not going to be concerned with keeping these 1 year guys. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So he can start looking forward to future roster movement. Maybe even sell one of these guys to get there a little quicker.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
Yep. And I'm interested to see how Chuba Hubbard's value, not necessarily keeper value, but sorry, like just personal value changes throughout the offseason. Because I think the Panthers will get him more
yeah,
involved this coming year.
yeah. I was going to mention him, but he's a 2 year guy.
Yeah. So we'll move on. Step Bros Fantasy Company actually only has one guy that is got 1 year left on his contract. That's Matt McCarson for people who don't know, and it's Kareem Hunt. Kareem Hunt, I think I'd be a little. I mean, I wouldn't be totally surprised if he got capped, but I feel like there's other players there
Yeah.
that are worth keeping over him.
And Kareem Hunt's an interesting situation too because his talent is there, and I believe he's going to be one of the few players that enters LCC free agency and NFL free agency at the same time. So that could really determine his value.
Yeah, no, I think it definitely will. Like, look at teams like Miami who don't have a running back or a legitimate running back. Like that's a dream location for him. You know,
Yeah,
even Philadelphia would be a good landing spot for him. Maybe not for fantasy, but for career wise, that might be a good spot.
yeah,
Our next team here, we got Lobatard Lobos. He's got two guys with 1 year remaining on their contract: Daniel Hunter and Antonio Gibson, which are big names. I do think Hunter, we're probably looking at the more back end of his career, so
yeah,
maybe not as big of a name in 2 years, but Antonio Gibson potentially will be because he's still young.
yeah. Gibson's one of the lower end running backs right now that I feel like will become available right then that could explode just as a PPR player, and especially if Washington can get a little better as a whole.
Mm-hmm.
He could be one of the 2023 really stud values.
Yeah, I agree. And we got Brian Rexy back. Jordan, do we want to mention this now or wait about CJ?
Well, you were gonna announce it, but we can because he's official. But CJ won't be coming back next year, so this will be a free agent or a franchise that's up for grabs from new members.
Yes. Yeah.
But
CJ
anyway,
said
they
he's out.
only have one. Yeah, they only have one player with 1 year left on their contract, so it won't be a major concern for the new owner. But Bobby Okikari has 1 year left on his deal, which um, he did finish second in scoring, so he was a solid player.
Yeah,
But
definitely a
not,
guy overlooked, I feel like, in the offseason.
yeah.
Yeah. Um,
But I'm glad he doesn't have like five on there that we have to explain to a new owner. But
yeah, exactly. And I don't think they would have kept him anyway.
yeah,
Uh, so this is an interesting franchise here. This is the only franchise where all of the players that they can currently keep do not have that doesn't have just 1 year remaining on their contract. All of them have literally 2 years on their contract. So that's Give Me More, Jameson's team. Oh, I forgot. I was supposed to be playing the sound drops. Hang on. This is like one of my favorite ones now. So, Give Me More, as Kylo Ren was saying in Star Wars. Uh, this there's nothing to talk about there. It's kind of crazy how Jameson was able to build his team. I don't know if he planned that intentionally or if it accidentally happened. Where, and don't get me wrong, he's not going to keep Big Ben because he just retired, right?
Yeah.
So, but still, like all the other guys, literally have 2 years left on their contract. It's just nuts.
Yeah, it's pretty good for him. I feel like all he has to do is find a quarterback, and he's ultra competitive already.
Yeah. Now, Tua Girls One Cup, I don't know what he is going to do. So the only player he has who has 1 year remaining is Joe Mixon, which kind of sucks, but it sucks even more because he doesn't have a second round pick at the moment to keep him. Now, again, rankings could change. I don't think it's going to change that much for Joe Mixon for Tua Girls One Cup, but as we didn't touch running back scoring, it was literally just receivers, tight ends, and defensive tackles. And he doesn't have any guys ranked high enough in those positions to make a difference that high up. So, Eddie, he's going to have to pull something off if he wants to keep Joe, or he's going to have to trade Joe, maybe swap him to another team who has a running back.
Yeah, definitely. Now, so say like he decided not. I'm sure everybody will have this question too, so it'll be good if I bring it up. But so he decides not to keep Joe Mixon mainly because he doesn't have the spot. Somebody gets Joe Mixon. His contract's reset, correct?
No, contract is not reset at all. They
All right.
inherit that
Even if he,
contract.
even if it's not a trade.
Oh, sorry. You mean if he doesn't keep him?
Yeah, I'm saying like he's just straight
Oh,
draft.
sorry. Yes. No. If he's dropped, right, his contract will reset.
Yeah.
Um.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean that's a possibility. Maybe I doubt he would end up getting him in the draft because he'd probably go
Yeah,
101.
I was just clarifying it for everybody that contracts would reset if like a emergency situation like that where you couldn't keep him.
Yeah. The only time a player player's contract resets is if they are dropped, and at that
Yeah.
point, everyone has like a shot at getting that player in theory, right? I mean,
Yeah.
technically, I think it's Mafali who has the first pick. Yeah, he does. So let's say Mafali has the first overall pick, and he decides, I'm not going to keep so and so. I'm going to let him hit free agency and therefore the draft pool. Well, technically, that player's contract is going to reset. Even though you can argue he manipulated the system in that way, but in reality, he could just as easily traded that pick away to someone else, and they could have gotten that player. So it's still there's an opportunity there for someone else to get that guy, and so that player's
Yeah.
contract would reset in that scenario as well.
Gotcha.
All right, let's keep it moving now. Beg for G-Reg, he's got multiple guys too with 1 year left. In fact, he's got 4. Josh Allen, Buda Baker, Myles Garrett, and Dalvin Cook. Now, Dalvin Cook, in fact, most of that running back class, I don't think they're going to look as good in 2023. I think they're going to be valued a little bit less. I think you're going to have a changing of the
Yeah.
guard this year in the NFL in terms of running backs.
Yeah, that it's hard to predict with running backs. They can fall off the table in the snap of the fingers. That's why when I mentioned Gibson, it's just because he was young enough. But
Yeah.
even he could be done at that point. But yeah, it's definitely the hardest position to project with injuries.
Mm-hmm.
But an
Yep.
interesting thing with Beg for G-Reg is having Josh Allen with 1 year on his contract at the same time with not having a first round to keep him this year. So that's a potential name that could hit a year early or get traded. But he's definitely got some action going on.
Now, what's going to be
all 4 heavy
interesting,
hitter names too.
you know, when the player when the scoring changes are inputted in the website, Cooper Cup's value is going to go up. And I don't know the difference between Josh Allen and Cooper Cup at the end of the year, but it may have been enough to where
Yeah.
Cooper Cup becomes his first keeper, which means he wouldn't be able to keep him since he doesn't have a first round pick. Of course, if he trades for a first round pick, then he could keep him. Yeah, that'll be something to watch. Our next team, Abusement Park. This is Peyton's team. He's got only 2 players with 1 year left in their contract, Kyler Murray and Aaron Jones. So 2 big names who are kind of like 1 year rentals, if you will, going into 2022. Now, man, when Kyler Murray hits it, like that dude could be a top 5 pick in 2023. So
Yeah.
it's just crazy, man. Like that guy's gonna be in there really soon. And Aaron Jones, like that's another guy. I'm like, man, with Rodgers leaving, like how does that impact his value? Not just for this year,
Yeah.
but going forward. Plus, like he's not like super young. You know, he's kind of like middle aged for a running back. So
Yeah,
yeah,
I'd be
I don't know.
terrified to see what he looked like in 2 years.
Yeah, that'd be
But
a little worrisome.
you want me to go to Detroit?
Sure.
Okay, yeah. So Detroit's got several, especially on the defensive end, it looks like. But he's got Darius Leonard with 1 year, Jeremy Chin with 1 year, Russell Wilson, another high-profile quarterback with 1 year, Christian McCaffrey with 1 year, and that he's already. I don't trust him to stay healthy. So what's he going to be in 2 seasons? And then Khalil Mack with 1 year. So solid QB plus defenders and a running back that's probably already not trustworthy.
Oh, definitely, yeah. And even honestly, like Russell scares me a little bit. Like this dude finished 5th on Detroit's roster in terms of scoring, but man, like quarterbacks score so much in our league, like that's nuts. And I get Billy had a good team and all, but oof, that worries me. I don't know if he'll be in Seattle still after all this, but
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know, man. Our next team here,
Yeah.
we got. Have I skipped anyone's sound drop, by the way?
I don't think so.
Oh,
You
I
can hit the
did.
Spurs right here.
I got. I missed. Hang on, I know who I missed. Let me. Libertard Lobos. Dang it. Let me go play Alex's real quick. Oh, I just did it twice. All right, there we go. All right, let me scroll back down for everyone. Our next team is the Spurs. That's Cameron's team, and oh, he's got a sound drop too. Let me get to it. Here we go. So the Spurs, like they've got 2 guys, and it's Jesse Bates and Derrick Henry. Big names. But Derrick Henry, man, we saw him get hurt. And so when you see someone get like ding in their armor, you're like, all right, this guy's not invincible anymore. When's it time for us to start like pumping the brakes on Derrick Henry? And I don't think you should do that now, but in 2 years with his playing style, I don't know. I don't know if we
Yeah.
see Derrick Henry's like the number 1 guy anymore at that point.
Yeah, I mean, I'd feel comfortable with him with this year, but I think this was like the beginning of showing like he is human and he plays way too physical to like be healthy 100% of the time. So I'd be fearful in 2023.
Yes, definitely. The running back class, I think, in 2023 is not going to be nearly as good as people want it to be
Yeah,
and what they
by name
think
it
it's going to
looks
be.
like fantastic,
Mm-hmm.
but I think it's going to be watered down just by circumstances.
I definitely agree. In fact, I don't think you're going to see a really strong running back class in our draft until probably 2024 and 2025. Like guys, when Jonathan Taylor and guys like that who are just coming out of their rookie years and so forth will be finally hitting the market. That will be an exciting running back class.
Yeah,
So our next one here, we got Mufasa Moneymakers, and
he's
he
yeah,
only 1 player, and it's Blake Martinez, who we traded for from Eastside Brawlers. I I think it'd be really hard for anyone to trade for him because of how cheap he is right now.
Yeah,
Even if he's a
I
1 year
I would
rental.
assume he just I would assume he just takes that keeper and just takes that value for one season.
Exactly. Yeah, I agree. So we'll just keep it moving. But Blake Martinez is a guy. I think linebackers have a little bit longer shelf life compared to running back. So Blake could still be worth something in 2023. It'd be something to watch for sure. Barring any injuries, of course, like we had this year or this past year. But New Orleans Voodoo has multiple guys: Devin Bush, Josh Jacobs, and Tyreek Hill. Like Josh Jacobs, I'm not really interested in anyways, so whatever. But Devin Bush is still very young, has a great career ahead of him. That's a guy I'm
Yeah,
super excited about in 2023. And Tyreek Hill, I mean, receivers obviously have a good shelf life because Antonio Brown was relevant this year and the year before. So,
yeah,
yeah, I think
and he's
Tyreek will
gonna
still
have
be
those
good.
wheels for a while. Like
Yeah. My God, I don't think we
so,
saw Randy
he'll
Moss
be
slow
good.
down until like
Yeah,
way late in his career.
usually the fastest guys are still as fast as everybody when they're old. Like
Yeah. And then for once a
yeah,
janitor here, Team Tang Bang from back in the day, Jordan
yeah,
Poyer and DeAndre Swift, 1 year left for each. Now Jordan Poyer's a little bit on the back end of his career, so I'm not sure what his value is going to look like in 2 years. But DeAndre Swift is still pretty young. Now I just don't know what his role is going to be in Detroit or just in any NFL offense kind of going forward because he hasn't really proven that he's like a top back in this league. He's shown plenty of flashes, but I think his job could easily be in jeopardy at any given year.
yeah. Age wise, he'd be a nice bet just being so young, but you definitely want to keep an eye on the production over the next like year and a half.
Exactly. So we're almost done here, I
We
believe.
got Hunter Champions. He's got Patrick Mahomes, Devonta Adams, Shaq Barrett, and David Montgomery for the Bears all on 1 year.
Yeah, and Montgomery, I definitely think we're kind of at the back end for him. Shaq
Yeah,
Barrett, I'm interested to see kind of how things go. But Pat Mahomes, of
we,
course, is
we
like the face of the NFL at
yeah,
this point.
and we talked about a longer shelf life with receivers, so Adams should be fine as long as he finds another good quarterback whenever he
Right.
separates from Rodgers, assuming he plays longer than Rodgers.
Mm-hmm. Now the third leg, this team is riddled with 1 year guys: Eric Kendricks,
Yeah,
Von Bell, Ezekiel Elliott, Nick Bosa, and DeAndre Hopkins. Now I will say, Zeke, I think at this point is more of a handcuff in the Cowboys offense, so therefore he's definitely not going to be worth that much in 2023. Von Bell is getting older too, and Eric Kendricks, I think he'll still be pretty good at that point. So that is someone to look forward
yeah,
to. Same with Bosa.
and I can see those top two guys not even being kept this year just from his keeper situation, but
Yeah.
that'll be a different story.
Mm-hmm. Now, Mr. 300, Colby always does such a great job of designing his teams every offseason, but his top three guys at the moment are players with 1 year left in their contract: Jonathan Taylor, Bobby Wagner, and Dak Prescott. Now, Bobby Wagner, I've read things that he may be getting phased out of Seattle. Dak Prescott, I think, will still be solid. Jonathan Taylor is still going to be solid. Joey Bosa, we'll see as he gets older at that point. And Cam Akers, I don't know. I haven't seen him healthy yet for a full season, so who knows?
Yeah, I wouldn't mind taking a shot on either one of those running backs though, like
Mm-hmm. What about
just off the
Rashad
skill
Penny?
set and youth.
No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Slapdick's going down. He's only got Devin White with the 1 year remaining on his, so
Yes,
pretty manageable.
very manageable. I love his situation this offseason. Big Ots is in a great spot. In fact, if he wanted to, like, he could trade Devin White or swap him for another linebacker if he
Yeah,
really wanted. Uh, Burrow's body count he only has one player that's got 1 year left, and that's Jalen Brown, a linebacker, and I don't even know if he'd keep him. So, yeah, I would just move on, I guess. Primetime players has a couple guys: Roquan Smith, Stephon Diggs, CEH are all guys. Now CEH, I'm really not that interested in, even though he's young. The Chiefs just don't use running backs
Yeah.
that way. But
Yeah,
Diggs,
he
yes.
just never got utilized in the way everybody expected. Just go back and think he was taken before Jonathan Taylor. Like, how ridiculous of the Chiefs. Plug Jonathan Taylor into the Chief offense and good luck.
Well, I don't know if he gets the looks that he has in Indianapolis. Honestly, if you put CEH in Indianapolis, he may do just as well. It's just the offense
Yeah,
he's in.
I don't. I would think you would be forced just as Jonathan Taylor's that type of talent. Like he might have 100 receptions, but he's getting the ball. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And Roquan, of course, is a guy I think that'll still be worth a lot. And assuming he
Yeah,
doesn't hit the pool this year, who knows?
yeah,
Steel Curtain got a couple guys as well. Julio Jones, we'll see. Saquon Barkley, I'm not really interested in even that much for 2022, let alone 2023. Uh,
yeah. That's a guy that was hit early with injuries.
Austin Eckler, I mean, I guess we'll kind of see there as well. T.J. Watt and Derwin James. Now, Derwin James and T.J. Watt are I'm definitely interested in 2 years.
Yeah,
Even this year, of
yeah.
course.
He'll be defensive player of the year candidate for the next 5 years. Like,
yes. That dude's a stud. And for our oh man, I just scrolled way down. Let me scroll back up. All right.
Slinging Slashers has Lamar Jackson, Fred Warner, and Justin Jefferson.
Slinging Slasher.
So not too
Sorry.
bad, but all three really good players.
Yeah. No, Lamar, of course, is Lamar. Justin Jefferson's going to be good for a long time. Fred Warner, I mean, I read a lot of articles last offseason how Fred Warner, people weren't as high on him anymore. They were like, whatever, big whoop.
Yeah.
But 2021, he proved that he is still something to consider in IDP leagues.
I think he's here to stay for a couple seasons at least.
Yeah, I agree. Now, Jiu-Jitsu Jesus, our last team that we're going to talk about, Jonathan Abram, Aaron Donald, Joe Schobert, Chris Carson. Now, Aaron Donald, I don't know if he's officially said he's going to retire or not. So that might be invalid entirely. Chris Carson, I don't think anyone's going to be interested in, honestly, in 2023, let alone 2022.
Yeah.
Joe Schobert is getting a little bit older, but I think still holds some value.
Abram's a great player, but I don't trust his injury history.
Yeah, that's the thing. But I mean, he finished first on Matt's team. He had a great year. I mean, he always plays excellent when he's out there. So Abram might, but part of it, like you said, is can he stay healthy 2 years from now?
Yeah.
Well, that is all we got, everyone, for this week's episode on the Commissioner's Clubhouse for Week 5. Next week should be a pretty good one. Next week, we're going to get into the things that we got right and wrong last offseason, which will be fun because everyone knows there were some things that we totally whiffed on. And we'll have a little rapid fire segment as well. So it'll be a relatively short episode in itself, but it should be a fun one before eventually we get into, before we reveal the LCC draft, which I almost forgot about earlier. You have let me check the calendar really quick. I think we're approaching the deadline to put in location suggestions for the LCC draft and the date. Let's see here. So I'm going to get February. The 21st. No, sorry, the 20th is the last day to suggest a location and draft day for the LCC draft. So make sure you get that in, guys. It's coming up really, really soon. That's this weekend. We already have several entries there, so if we don't, no big deal. But if there's something you want, put it in so that we can discuss it. You got anything you want to add, Jordan, before we hop off?
Nope, I'm good. You guys have a good night.
All right.
Or day, whenever you listen.
Yeah, whenever you listen. Enjoy it. We'll catch you guys in week 6 of the fantasy off season.